Now this is the account of Adamu and Ti-Amat in the Edin, and how they, knowing of procreation, were given, and to the Abzu expelled. After Tiamat in the womb of Ninki was fashioned, in 7 vessels of clay of the Abzu made Ninmah ovals of the 2-legged females placed. The life essence of Tiamat she extracted, bit by bit in the vessels it inserted. In the vessels of the clay of the Abzu made, Ninmah the admixture formed. Incantations as the procedure befits she was uttering. In the womb of the birth-giving heroines the fertilized ovals were inserted. There was conception. At the allotted time birth-givings were occurring. At the allotted time 7 female earthlings were born. Their features were proper, good sounds they were uttering. Thus were 7 female counterparts for the primitive workers created. 7 male and 7 female did the 4 leaders create them. After the earthlings were thus created, let the males the females inseminate. Let the primitive workers by themselves offspring beget. So was Enki to the others saying, after the allotted time, other offsprings will beget. Plentiful will be the primitive workers' numbers, the toil of the Anunnaki they shall bear. Enki and Ninmah and Ningishzida were joyful, the fruit's elixir they were drinking. For the 7 and the 7 cages they made, among the trees they placed them. Let them together grow up, malehoods and femalehoods attain. Let the males the females inseminate. Let them by themselves offspring beget. So were they to each other saying. As for Adamu and Ti-Amat, from the toil of excavations they shall be protected. Let us them to the Edin bring over, to the Anunnaki therein our handiwork display. So was Enki to the others saying. With that the others did concur. To Eridu in the Edin, the city of Enki, Adamu and Ti-Amat were taken. An abode in an enclosure for them was built. To roam therein they could. The Anunnaki of the Edin came to see them. From the landing place they came. Enlil came to see them. By the sight his displeasure was diminished. Ninurta came to see them. Enlil did as well. From the way station on Lamu, Marduk, the son of Enki, also came down to see. It was a sight most astounding, a wonder of wonders it was to behold. Your hands have made it, to the Anunnaki the fashioners were saying. The Ajiji, who between earth and Lamu shuttled, were also agog. Primitive workers have been fashioned, our days of toil to end, so were they all saying. In the Abzu, the newborns were growing. For their maturing, the Anunnaki were anticipating. Enki was the supervisor. Ninmah and Ningishzida also came. In the excavations, the Anunnaki were grumbling. Patience to impatience gave way. Inugi, their overseer of Enki, was often inquiring. For primitive workers, the outcry he conveyed. The circuits of earth grew in number. Maturity of the earthlings was overdue. No conceiving among the females was observed. There was no birth-giving. By the cages among the trees, Ningishzida a couch of grass for himself made. Day and night the earthlings he was watching, their doings to ascertain. Indeed, he saw them mating. The males with the females were inseminating. Conceiving there was not. Birth-giving there was not. Enki the matter deeply pondered. The creatures once combined he contemplated. None, not one of them, had offspring begotten. By 2 kinds combined, a curse has been created, Enki to the others said. Let us the essences of Adamu and Ti-Amat afresh examine, Ningishzida was saying. Their me's, bit by bit, to be studied. What is wrong to ascertain? In Shurabak, in the house of healing, the essences of Adamu and Ti-Amat were contemplated. With the life essence of Anunnaki males and females, they were compared. Like two entwined serpents, Ningishzida, the essences separated. Arranged like 22 branches on a tree of life were the essences. Their bits were comparable. The images and likenesses they properly determined. 22 they were in number. The ability to procreate they did not include. Another 2 bits of the essence in the Anunnaki present Ningishzida to the others showed. 1 male, 1 female. Without them there was no procreating. So he to them explaining. In the molds of Adamu and Ti-Amat, in the combining they were not included. Ninmah heard this and was distraught. With frustration was Enki seized. The clamor in the Abzu is great. Mutiny is again in the making. So was Enki to them saying, primitive workers must be procured, lest the gold extracting shall be ceasing. Ningishzida in these matters learned, a solution was proposing. To his elders, Enki and Ninmah, in the house of healing, he whispered. They, all the heroines to Ninmah, were assisting, sent away. They locked the doors behind them, the 3 with the 2 earthlings alone remaining. Upon the 4 others, Ningishzida a deep sleep caused to descend. The 4 he made unfeeling. From the rib of Enki, the life essence he extracted. Into the rib of Adamu, the life essence of Enki he inserted. From the rib of Ninmah, the life essence he extracted. Into the rib of Ti-Amat, the life essence he inserted. Where the incisions were made, the flesh thereon he closed up. Then the 4 of them by Ningishzida were awakened. It is done, he proudly declared. To their tree of life 2 branches have been added. With procreating powers their life essences are now entwined. Let them freely roam, as one flesh let them know each other, Ninmah was saying. In the Edin's orchard, to freely roam, Adamu and Ti-Amat were placed. Of their nakedness they became aware. Of malehood and femalehood they were knowing. Ti-Amat of leaves aprons made, from the wild beast to be distinguished. In the heat of the day, Enlil in the orchard was strolling. The shade he was enjoying. Without expectation, Adamu and Ti-Amat he encountered. The aprons on their loins he noticed. What is the meaning of this? Enlil wondered. Enki for explaining he summoned. The matter of procreation, Enki to Enlil explained. The 7 and 7 had failed, to Enlil he admitted. Ningishzida, the life essences examined. An additional combining was needed. Great was Enlil's anger, furious his words were. The whole thing was not to my liking, for acting as creators I had opposed. The being that we needed already exists, so were you, Enki saying. All we need to do is put our mark on it, thereby primitive workers to fashion. Healing heroines themselves put at risk. Ninmah and Ninki were endangered. To no avail, it was all. Your handiwork was a failure. Now the last bit of our life essence to these creatures you have given, to be like us in procreation knowing, perchance our life cycles on them to bestow. Thus did Enlil with angry words speak. Enki, Ninmah, and Ningishzida summoned with words Enlil to pacify. My lord Enlil, Ningishzida was saying, knowing for procreation they were given. The branch of long living to their essence tree was not. Ninmah then spoke up to her brother Enlil. She was saying, what was the choice, my brother? To end it all in failure, Nibiru in doom to face its fate? Or to try and try and try, and by procreation let the earthlings the toil undertake? Then let them be where they are needed, Enlil with anger said. To the Abzu, away from the Edin, let them be expelled. So did Enlil the commandment decree. From the Edin to the Abzu, Adamu and Ti-Amat were expelled. In an enclosure among the trees, Enki them placed. To know each other, he left them. With joy did Enki see what Ningishzida had done come to be. With child, Tiamat was frolicking. Ninmah came the birth-giving to watch. A son and a daughter, twins to the earth beings, were born. With wonderment did Ninmah and Enki watch the newborns. How they grew and developed was a marvel. Days were as months, months to earth, years accumulated. By the time Adamu and Ti-Amat had other sons and daughters, the first ones were by themselves procreating. Before one shar of Nibiru had passed, the earthlings were proliferating. With understanding were the primitive workers endowed. Of commandments they were comprehending. To be with the Anunnaki they were eager. For food rations they toiled well. Of heat and dust they did not complain. Of backbreaking they did not grumble. Of the hardships of work the Anunnaki of the Abzu were relieved. The vital gold to Nibiru was coming. Nibiru's atmosphere was slowly healing. Earth mission to the satisfaction of all was proceeding. Among the Anunnaki, those who from heaven to earth came, there was also espousing and procreation. The sons of Enlil and Enki, from sisters and half-sisters, from healing heroines took spouses. To them on earth sons and daughters were born, though by the life cycles of Nibiru were they endowed, by earth cycles were they quickened. Who on Nibiru in diapers would still be, on earth became a child. Who on Nibiru began to crawl, when on earth born was running around. Special joy there was when to Nanar and Ningal twins were born. A daughter and a son they were, Inanna and Utu. By Ningal they were named. With them a third generation of Anunnaki on earth was present. For the offspring of the leaders, tasks were allocated. Some olden chores were divided. Easier among the offspring they were made. To the olden chores, new tasks were added. Upon the earth, the warmth was rising. Vegetation flourished. Wild creatures overran the land. The rains were heavier. Rivers were gushing. Abodes repairing needed. Upon the earth, the heat was increasing. The snow-white parts to water were melting. The bars of the seas, the oceans were not containing. From the depths of the earth, volcanoes were fire and brimstones belching. The grounds were trembling. Each time the earth was shaking. In the lower world, the snow-white hued place, the earth was grumbling. At the tip of the Abzu, Enki a place for observation established. To his son Nergal and his spouse Ereshkigal, command thereof he entrusted. A thing unknown, an untoward thing thereunder is brewing, Nergal to his father Enki said. In Nibiru-Ki, the place of the bond heaven earth, Enlil the heavenly circuits was watching. By the Mies of the tablets of destinies, celestial motions he was comparing. There is turmoil in the heavens, Enlil to his brother Enki said. From the planet Lamu, the place of the way station, Marduk to Enki his father was complaining. Strong winds are disturbing, annoying dust storms they are raising. So Marduk to his father Enki words was beaming. In the hammered bracelet, turmoils are occurring. Upon the earth, brimstones from the skies were falling. Pitiless demons, havoc causing. Violently the earth they approached. Into flaming fires in the skies they were bursting. In a clear day, darkness they were causing. With storms and evil winds they raged around. Like stony missiles the earth they were attacking. Kingu, Earth's moon, and Lamu, too, by these havocs were afflicted. The faces of all three with countless scars were covered. Enlil and Enki to Anu, the king, urgent words were beaming. Nibiru's savants they alerted. The earth and the moon and Lamu, a calamity unknown, are facing. From Nibiru the savants were responding. Their words to the leaders' hearts were not calming. In the heavens the family of the sun were taking stations. The celestials, of whom earth is the seventh in a row, were choosing places. In the heavens Nibiru was approaching. The sun's abode it was nearing. By the 7 in a row arraigned was Nibiru distracted. The path through the hammered bracelet it was missing. From the bracelet, bits and pieces it had been displacing. Bereft of the celestial bar, Lamu with Mumu near the sun were crouching. In the heavens, Lamu her glorious dwelling place was abandoning. Towards Nibiru, the heavenly king, she was attracted. A queen of heaven she wished to be. To quell her, Nibiru from the celestial deep a monstrous demon made appear, a monster once to Tiamat's host belonging, by the celestial battle fashioned. From the celestial deep made its way, by Nibiru was it from slumber awakened. From horizon to the midst of heaven, like a flaming dragon it was stretched. 1 league was its head, 50 leagues in length it was, awesome was its tail. By day the skies of earth it darkened, by night upon the face of the moon a spell of darkness it cast. To her brothers, the celestials, Lamu for help was calling. Who will the dragon obstruct? Who will stop and kill it? She was asking. Only valiant Kingu, once Tiamat's protector, stepped forward to respond. To intercept the dragon in its path, Kingu was making haste. Fierce was the encounter. A tempest of clouds upon Kingu was raised. By its foundations was Kingu shaken. From the impact did the moon quake and shake. Then the heavenly havoc was calmed. Nibiru to its distant abode in the deep was returning. Lamu its dwelling place did not abandon. The stony missiles upon the earth and Lamu ceased their reigning. Enki and Enlil with Marduk and Ninurta gathered, a surveying of the havoc they undertook. The foundations of the earth Enki surveyed. Of what its platforms had befallen he examined. In the depths of the oceans he measured. In earth's far corners the mountains of gold and copper he scanned. Of the vital gold there will be no shortage, thus was Enki saying. In the Edin Ninurta was the surveyor, where mountains trembled and valleys shook. In his skyship he soared and journeyed. The landing platform was intact. In the valleys of the north the earth fiery liquids was pouring. So was Ninurta to his father Enlil telling. Sulfuric mists and bitumens he was discovering. On Lamu the atmosphere was damaged. Dust storms were with life and work interfering. So Marduk to Enki was saying, to earth return I wish, to his father he disclosed. Enlil to his olden plans betook himself. What cities and their tasks he planned he reconsidered. A chariot place in the Edin must be established. To the others he was saying. The olden designs of the layout on the crystal tablet to them he showed. The conveying from the landing place to the way station on Lamu is no longer certain. To soar upward Nibiru from earth we must be able. So was Enlil to them saying. For the count since the first splashdown, the count of 80 shars it was.